For a closer look at Russia's military strategy, Mark Kimmitt is a retired U.S. Army Brigadier General. He also served as U.S. Department of State Assistant Secretary. Hi, General Kimmitt. Good to have you back on the program.
Thank you, Vashi.
Russia had been warning. There had been a lot of, discussion about what this intensified assault on the east might look like. Based on what you've seen transpire over the last 24 hours, is this how you anticipated it would start out?
Well, I don't really think it started yet. As a senior defense official in Washington, D.C. said, they are conducting shaping operations, preparing the battlefield. What that means in Army doctrine is they are bringing in a lot of ammunition, food, fuel, sending out reconnaissance, but they want to be sure they are ready before they actually do what we typically call a breakthrough operation.
And in layman's terms, how would we recognize what that is? Like, how would we be able to distinguish between Russia saying it's making preparations and that it started and when it really has started?
Yeah, that's a good question. Doctrinally, and I should say that the Soviets' doctrine is a little bit different than the incompetent Russian doctrine we've been seeing playing out. But traditionally, those types of operations start off with a tremendous amount of artillery, rockets, missiles, howitzers. So I think the typical trigger would be a long, continuous artillery campaign for probably anywhere from 12 hours to 24 hours before they actually attempted the breakthrough.
And I feel like if I had asked experts, maybe not yourself, but others months ago, how prepared Ukraine would be for that onslaught, they would have expressed a lot of concern. They're probably still concerned, but given what we've seen transpire over the last 7-8 weeks, what is your assessment of how Ukraine is prepared for this?
Well, Vashi, I would say that everybody has been surprised at the Ukrainian operations up to this point. Nobody expected the Ukrainians to, number one, put up a fight, and number two, to be able to fight so well as they have against the second largest army in the world, Russia. They have beaten Russia significantly in every operation except for that at Mariupol. So I think that a combination of surprisingly good Ukrainian forces and strategy and surprisingly poor Russian operations and tactics has got us to where we are today.
And what are the implications of that in particular for this battle as it starts in earnest, let's say? Where do you see Ukraine's strengths based on what we've seen over the past few months, and where do you see their vulnerabilities?
Well, I think the vulnerabilities are on the Russian side getting better. The Russians have probably learned a significant amount from this first operation they ran. Just the very positioning of their forces would indicate that they're not going to try this haphazard attack everywhere strategy, but they seem to be concentrating their forces in the northeast and east. Two, they brought in a brand new general who has not only a tough combat record, but that combat record has been pretty brutal. So I think as long as NATO can continue to get the supplies and equipment into the Ukrainians, that's the best we can hope for on the Ukrainian side, because they will fight valiantly. The question is, have the Russians taken those lessons learned from the first phase, and are they going to fight a more conventional, classic Russian operation in this phase? If so, it's going to be pretty tough for the Ukrainians.
And from your perspective, the Ukrainians have the equipment they need in order to fight against that type of assault?
That's the big question. Of course, everybody would like to see a no-fly zone. Everybody would like to get aircraft into the Ukrainians to give them more capability. This latest weapons package that came from the United States is good, but it's not good enough. I think what we need to be able to do is not necessarily give them 18 howitzers and beat our chests about how well we're doing. But we've got to continue to give them reconnaissance assets, targeting assets, such as the counter battery radars, and candidly, longer range missiles, because the key to winning this fight will not be at the front lines, but it will be, can the Ukrainians take out those logistics bases? Can they take out those artillery and rocket positions? They should have enough to do that now. And I believe that's going to be crucial to winning this battle against the Russians.
And how, when you say that they can now, I guess I wonder if this particular battle in the Donbas is a protracted one, if it is a slower moving, longer one. Does that call into question whether they have exactly what they need at this moment? Like, for example, as you point out, will they need much more to continue to be able to resist if, in fact, this aspect of the war is protracted?
Well, let's be very clear. In the East, in the Donbas, the war has been going on for 8 years. This war started during the occupation of Crimea. So I would say along that front line, there are a significant amount of trench lines, fixed positions. I think both sides pretty much know where the other guy is. But I think the key to this battle, as you say, for the Ukrainians is, number one, making sure they have enough ammunition and that other equipment that I was talking about. And number two, that they continue to have the morale, the overwhelming morale that they've shown up to this point. I think the combination of having sufficient resupply capability and logistics, number two, keeping up that great morale, is probably the best chance they have against fighting this Russian offensive that we anticipate coming soon.
At the danger of being too simplistic, is it possible that this battle decides the war?
I think that is simplistic. I don't think I've got a good answer for that. I think if Vladimir Putin is content to stopping at the Donbas, this may find us in a position where he would be willing to have peace negotiations. I don't think his aspirations stop there. For example, he is still continuing to fight towards Odessa, but it could very well be that this will not end the war, but it may put it into a frozen conflict the way it has been over the last 8 years.
General Kimmitt, I'll leave it there. I appreciate your analysis very much. Thank you.
Sure, Nashi.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.